This is the watch list video for Monday, February 13th. A quick reminder, I don't want to say this in every video because it would get monotonous, but I like to throw these reminders out there every now and then. These watch lists are simply that. These are stocks that I will have on charts in front of me as the market is trading on Monday. I may trade 5 of them, doubtful. I may trade 1 of them. I may trade none of them and get new trades from morning gappers or whatever. So I just wanted to share that with you real quick. I'll give you an example. I always talk about the teamwork in the chat room. Like on Friday, OCUL on Tuesday, Tony C, one of our members, posted that. And that just means a 2-minute buy setup. You notice shortly after that, Wayne, and that was probably 20-something seconds later, Wayne said OCUL still watching over 80, right? Over 80 cents. And so there's an example. 2 people posting it within 30 seconds of each other. Let's go look at OCUL. You can see it was a morning gap play. Switch to 2-minute candles. I'm just trying to give you all an idea of what we look for in the chat room. Remember, Tony said possible 2-minute buy setup, which would have been over 770 with a stop at the low of day. It was a little delayed, but it worked. Also, Wayne said, I liked it over 80, right? OCUL over 80. Look what happens over 80. It ends up moving up over a buck. Sorry about that. Over a buck from there. Just another example of the teamwork in the room. And I don't know that any of these were on the watch list. They showed up as morning gap plays, so keep that in mind. Another example, Wayne, INFN, tight flag over 60. Show you that real quick. And I'm just trying to give you an example of what goes on in our chat room. So let's look at INFN. And Wayne was just talking about this tight flag after the gap up, right? So it gaps up, pops to 1160. Sellers came in, and then it's right back up and flagging there, right? So Wayne's idea is over 60, and that was a great trade, right? Your worst case stop is going to be kind of below this flag, so maybe a 20-cent risk. You'll also, as I slide this over, seeing people saying IMMU nice, Yahoo IMMU sweet, and the reason for that, and again, I don't think IMMU was on my watch list for Friday, but it was once we opened in the pre-market and started looking for trades, right? IMMU, we added to our gap playlist, and I mentioned it on the microphone as a 2-minute buy setup. So these are 2-minute candles. First candle was hit 480. The second candle hit 477. So the idea would be over this second 2-minute candle, 478, and a stop below that 2-minute candle, and you can see what happened. That's why when I slide over the chat, you see people celebrating IMMU, because I called that over the mic. It's not in print, because when I'm trading morning gappers and I'm calling out morning ideas, in the first 10, 15 minutes, things are happening so quick that I just call them out, or I say what I see over the mic, versus trying to type them out. So the teamwork in there is fantastic. And let me go into the watch list. Now, I just want to remind you guys, it's a watch list. Again, I don't know that any of those were on the watch list video from Friday, but they all paid off well. So I don't know what we're going to trade on Monday, but I always start with an overnight watch list, okay? Meaning based on the daily chart. I don't hold anything overnight. So here's the SPY. 3rd green day in a row, still kind of pushing up into breakout territory, uncharted territory, I should say, all-time highs. So we've got a really strong market, so we just continue to trade what we trade, right? NAKD goes back on watch. Zoom in a little bit here. So we got a nice bounce off the 8-day and closing at its highs, okay? This one might be putting in, you had the big pop and it came down to here, and then a lower high, and this might be putting in a higher low now at the 8-day. So I want to watch that as a potential long. CRBP had a nice little extra volume pop here on Friday. And if you go to intraday, you can see that kind of happened. I'm assuming this was on a news story, right? Big volume right in the middle of the day, normally a time when I'm not trading. But it held up pretty well after that. So it's interesting. I want to see if it can continue that bounce, or that pop, I should say, on Monday. So we'll have it on a chart. CERU, again, you had the gap up. It came down and went down into the gap right here these 2 days. But you know what? Then it bounced, and now it's kind of flagging sideways. Let's look at it on 15s real quick. You can kind of picture. There's the pop. You kind of have a little cup and handle. So this is interesting, like maybe over 135. I don't live and die by that number because it could gap up or down in the morning. That 135 would then mean nothing. So, but I do like this. It's setting up for a possible second push higher after that gap up day. IMMU, I just talked about that. It ended up closing in about the middle of its range. I want to watch for a follow-through day tomorrow. OCUL, also talked about that. We traded both of those on Friday. Also closed fairly strong. I mean, well off its highs, but also well off its lows. Maybe a follow-through day there. Both of those, maybe a red to green. We'll see how it trades. INFN, same thing. Remember Wayne called this over 1160. Possible follow-through day on that one tomorrow. AEHR. This one, I don't like this kind of void up here, but you know what? After this big pop, it put in a lower high, then a lower high, but also a higher low and a higher low. So it's, a couple inside days. It's coiling. Is the news that popped it on this day strong enough to already push it again higher? I don't know, but we'll watch and see if it gives one of our low-risk setups. BNTC had this huge pop here, came all the way back down, a secondary pop, which was even stronger. Bounced off the 8-day after 2 red days, right? And put in a lower high. Now it's back down to the 8-day, couple red days, and we'll see if it's putting in a higher low now. So I want to watch that one. MYOS, kind of like BNTC. Yeah, you kind of a little bottoming tail. You have 3 red days into the 8-day. We'll see if that is ready to turn back up. On Monday, Yelp. I always like to put in, if I can find one, a stock that is maybe overdue on a 1-day basis and might give a bounce. And we have a very specific setup that we look for on these. Otherwise, we don't trade them. But Yelp, you had a big gap down and then a big sell-off, big volume. Near support. It bounced nicely off 35 here, and here, and here. So that one might give a low-risk bounce setup for an intraday trade. I can't emphasize that enough. I am just an intraday trader. I don't hold overnight. So sometimes you can put something like a Yelp on watch and get a nice trade in it the next day. On the long side, Twitter also, a lot of people would look at this and say TWTR broke support, right? Yeah, it bounced off here, here, here. You kind of have if you blur your vision, you kind of have a big head and shoulders pattern. But at the same time, you've got 2 red days. A lot of times when stocks break support, people pile in short trying to make the easy money, just like on a stock that's up above resistance for a couple days. People pile in long trying to make the easy money. The market never really hands out easy money, or not very often. All right, so I would actually be leaning towards a bounce. Not that I'm bullish on this chart, but I'd be leaning towards a bounce on Monday. We'll see. Again, I won't trade it unless I get a proper intraday setup. And then CAB was on bounce watch. No trades in it on Friday, and it's just back down another weekday. Maybe it could flush down below this 48, but that one is also on bounce watch. Just looking for an intraday bounce. All right, so in addition to this list, we'll work together as a team in the pre-market and hopefully find some nice gappers like we did on Friday with the IMMU and OCUL and INFN. And we'll also be watching all these charts as well. All right, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll talk to you guys on Monday.